I got some pictures for you too, Nico.
Thank you.
So Keith, you want me to monitor text in church?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, welcome to Leadership Live, Village Bible Church. It's great to have all of you here tonight. We've got a lot to get through this week on our agenda, so we're going to go ahead and get ourselves started. My name is Jeremy Anderson. I'm the campus pastor at our Indian Creek campus. Tonight, we've got to start with Keith Duff, our executive pastor.
Hey there,
Tim
Jeremy.
Gall, our lead pastor, and David Wood, our interim campus pastor in Aurora. Steve Lombardo from the Plano campus, and Nico from El Camino. So we've got some things we're going to talk about kicking off our meeting tonight. We're going to ask you to send in questions to 630-283-7600, and we will get to those questions as we have time to do so. And then we're going to close things out tonight. We're inviting some members from our church who are involved in school leadership, be it board members or on staff in schools and leadership, that we're just going to have a conversation about getting back to school. We know there's lots of questions around that, so we want to talk about that this evening as well.
Hey
So
there,
Paul, our lead pastor, and David Wood. All right, so let's kick things off tonight, talking about a little bit of a recap from this last week. So we got some pictures to throw up from our services that took place yesterday. Tim, it looks like Sugar Grove ended up heading inside yesterday. How'd your service go?
Yeah, we had to call a last hour audible, and what was really a beautiful day started to show us on the radar that there was rain, and some pretty substantial rain coming our way. And because we're putting a lot of electronic equipment and sound equipment outside in the parking lot, we made the decision that we needed to go inside about an hour and a half before the evening started. And it was a wonderful night. I know we've got some pictures to show of what transpired, but we had over 200 people attending our service, and we were able to hold it in our gymnasium. We had the doors open and a great breeze coming in. It felt like we were outside as we were gathered and talking, and had a great opportunity to share what God was doing in our midst. And then we heard from Doc Feuder, who is a former Moody Bible Institute professor, and one that is heavily engaged in the ministry of Chicago with Heart for the City. And he challenged us to engage in the process of being followers of Jesus Christ and get a heart for not only our own city, but the city of Chicago. And he talked about some of the horrific numbers of murders and assaults that take place each and every day and each and every week in the city. And while laws and good criminal justice will go a long way, a revival is needed in our community and in the city of Chicago. It was great to have him speak on that. And then we just enjoyed, as we've done each week, fellowship and food outside. It was a great time together, and really a great way to cap off a Lord's Day together in worship.
That's great. Nico, you guys were earlier in the day during the afternoon. How'd your guys' service go with El Camino?
Yes, we had a great service, beautiful weather. We had a lot of people also that showed up. I think we had doubled the number we had before. I still don't have the latest, but had her baby shower yesterday, so the church was very kind. They prepared a nice surprise for her, and we were able to celebrate afterwards. So it was very neat. I have to say thank you to El Camino people for putting up the baby shower yesterday. It was beautiful. The food, the presents, the decorations, the fellowship, everything was just great. So
Nico,
That's
when is Stacy due, Nico?
so Stacy, my wife, she's due September 20th something, but I know that most likely it will come maybe before that. That's been our experience before, 2 weeks before usually. So we're just waiting. We'll know it'll be sometime in September.
Great.
Jeremy, this is where you say that we're breaking all sorts of HIPAA laws by talking about medical issues on a thing. Keith will spend a couple years in minimum security prison for
Yeah.
that faux pas. So it's good having you, Keith. We'll make
Yeah.
sure we minister to
You
you in
guys
the
will
days
come
to
visit,
come.
I'm sure. It's all good.
There you go. Nico, looks like you guys had a great time. I was seeing some of those pictures like, wow, they went above and beyond their service,
Yes.
the shower. So really great. That's awesome. Now, David, how about you guys over in Aurora? How was your service?
It was great. I was there a little early. Got to hang out with El Camino. Got to have some nachos with some beans and some meat on there. Had a great time. But then it came time for Aurora, and you could see in Aurora, we were keeping an eye on the weather. But at that point, things were clear for us. So just as we were wrapping up our evening, we started getting rained on. But yeah, we had a beautiful time. Had a great group of people leading worship and singing out. And actually, one of our elders, Ruben, our Yolandan, was able to share his heart just of the gospel and how Jesus is the only way, and just the importance of that, to remember that the gospel is not just for the beginning of our walk with the Lord, but the gospel is something that we need each and every day. And it was kind of interesting. We got near the end of the night, and we had someone who got there just at the tail end, and they live about 8 blocks away. And they said, hey, as you guys were singing your closing song, Build Your Kingdom Here, we could hear you from 8 blocks away. And I thought, wow, the neighborhood knows that we're here. They could hear us singing praises. They could hear Ruben sharing the gospel. So it was pretty cool to see that, to see some people that I haven't seen in months joining in, gradually more and more people coming. Some people who've been there only a handful of times, they're new to the church. It was a really great time together.
That's awesome. And great to just share that testimony too with your community. So who knows? We're praying for God to do some works there, just from people who are hearing the message from home. So
8
Steve, I don't
blocks
wanna
away,
leave you
huh?
out.
8 blocks away.
away, yeah.
8
Wow.
blocks. Steve, I don't want to leave you out. How was Plano this week?
Oh, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Before I tell you about Plano, somebody from the Sugar Grove campus said they saw my face with no hair, and they said I looked like Scott Etchison from the Sugar Grove campus.
Oh, that's good.
And I want to point out that Scott was a male model before becoming an educator. So
Exactly.
I took that and I ran with it. And so
Yeah.
you can call me Scott or Steve, either one is fine.
Huh.
So anyway, back to how Plano's doing, the campus. We had our first indoor service last night as well. And we had a great turnout, but we had plenty of room to be able to spread out inside. And it was the first time in a long time that we had a worship set where we were quiet before the Lord and kind of led before his presence, even though that happens in different venues in different ways, but as a community. So that was pretty special together to do that. It kind of reminded me of the praise in the parking lot when we did that when we all gathered together, and we will be gathering together next week. So I'm looking forward to that. But it was for our campus to do that and to really spend some time worshiping God together and just kind of in a quiet way. You're outside, it's beautiful in a different way. It's kind of like noise going all over the place. And when you're inside, it seems like there's more of an intimacy that happens. And so it was cool. It was great, a good time, and we were challenged by the preaching of God's word. And I think everybody walked away from there really excited to be a part of the church going forward and have been part of it, still with a bunch of unknowns, but thankful to be in the same boat together. So it was a good night.
Cool. Cool. That's great. We had a good service out at Indian Creek too. Enjoyed our time together, worshiping the Lord, and we had a little bit smaller, but great to see the people who are here. So, all right, let's talk about some ministry that's coming up the next few weeks. So, David, next Sunday, we've got our Praise in the Parking Lot. What do people need to know about that service that's happening Sunday evening?
David.
How about now? You hear me now?
Hey, there we go.
There we
All
got
right.
it.
Well, everyone from across all of our campuses is invited to come out this Sunday at 5 o'clock. So check-in starts at 4:30. You're welcome to get there by 4:30, start milling around. At 5 o'clock, we'll have some food trucks with food that's available for purchase. You can take advantage of that. It'll be a great time. Really fun environment there. If you don't want to pay for food, you're welcome to bring your own sack dinner. That'd be great. And then our worship service is going to start at 5:30. It's going to be a great time for everybody coming together, worship, sing out, pray together, hear the word of God. And then after that, at about 7 o'clock, we're going to have a concert by a band called 610. No, it's not going to be at 610. It's going to be at 7. But it's from what I understand, kind of a Celtic folk kind of a band. So it'll be a great great time there together. So make sure when you get there, enter just through the Bliss Road entrance. You'll make sure that you'll be able to get to the right spot with your car. Bring some lawn chairs for your family. We need you to let us know that you're coming. So sign up online. And after you do, could be the day of, but you'll get an email with a kind of a confirmation image right when you pull up. You'll be able to show that. Bring your face mask in case you need to head inside and use the restroom. And we're going to have some goodies as well. So we're going to have some complimentary sweet corn and some ice cream. But if you want to bring your own snacks and drinks, you're welcome to do that as well. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time together, and looking forward to an awesome time, making some great memories on a beautiful evening. So
We've got 3 food trucks confirmed. One's a pierogi truck, so come and get some pierogies. One is a sweets, smoothies, cookies, and other dessert things. And one is a pizza puff truck, pizza puff from up in Elburn. And then we're waiting on confirming a taco truck. So, you haven't spent your money on much this summer. There hasn't been much to do. So you can actually spend money on food trucks this Sunday if you want. Let your kids get something that you might not normally do. But yeah, we should have lots of sweet corn, and that's all free. And so should be a great evening, fun time. And if it rains, we're canceled, but we're hoping for sunshine and great weather.
There you go.
Hey, that's great. I got a couple of things just from people online. Well, the first one is just from me. 6'10", is that because the guy that's in the back of that picture is 6 feet 10 inches tall? Is that the name of their group?
I think it's because I was born on June 10th. I think that's why they named their band.
After you. Oh, okay. Sounds good.
I don't know, Steve, but the guy, if you look at the pictures, the guy is a large man, or else the
Giant. He's
people in his
6'10".
band, or at least the people in his band are really short. So I think you might be right. We'll find out.
Is El Camino still collecting financial gifts for Peru that was sent in by someone?
Yes, let me explain a little bit on that one. It's not something from El Camino. I haven't really promoted through El Camino, but it's something more personal that I share with some people. And in Peru, with COVID-19, people have been hitting hard. And as a matter of fact, I can share with you briefly that one of the people that I get to minister and marry passed away not long ago. And so because of that, I've been trying to help out during this quarantine. And if you want some more personal information, please just, write me to my personal email or send me a text. But it's not something promoted through El Camino as it is, or Village as it is. Thank you.
Thanks, Nico, for catching that one for us. So, Nico, I'm gonna come right back to you. So we've got the concert and the praise service coming up this Sunday in the evening, and then we've also got a missions garage sale that's gonna be taking place this September. What can you tell us about the missions sale?
Oh, well,
Yeah, there you
hello.
go.
We got you, Nico. We hear you.
There is the information for all ages. It's going to be on September 4 and 5 from 9, right? Starting at 9 a.m.
Yep.
And it's going to be at our Sugar Grove campus. So we're excited. Please stop by, be part of it. And this is something that is promoted through El Camino and is promoted through El Village. So please be part of it, and more information coming up. But this is what we have right now as it is, and we hope that everyone joins. And I know we shared this with El Camino yesterday. People are excited about being part of this.
So here's a couple.
Back to school.
Here's a couple more things on it. So donations, if you want to make clothing donations, they're starting to take those now at the Sugar Grove campus. But also the week prior to that, clothing, shoes, purses, bags, backpacks, books, and really, just a great opportunity to get involved, to donate, to volunteer your time. You can volunteer if you want to help the crew get clothes ready and hung and ready to go. They're doing that each week. So if you're looking for a way to serve, you can jump in and do that. Just text the number on the screen, and we'll get you connected with my wife, who's leading that with Kate. And really just be praying. It's always a great outreach. It's great for our own village families to be able to get inexpensive things that are needed for school, but it's a great outreach into our community, and just a ton of people that come through the doors of the church that don't normally. And so we've got postcards. When you're around on Sunday night, grab some postcards if you want to give them out to maybe somebody at the store when you're checking out, or post them at the store where you shop on the bulletin board or whatever. But we're moving forward, different than our normal missions garage sale, a little bit more streamlined and focused and social distanced, and yet hoping it'll be a great outreach and a great opportunity to raise money for missions. So it's moving forward.
Great. So yeah, make sure you're connected. My internet is getting a little glitchy here, guys. So I'm going in and out. So if I lag a bit, be gracious with me. So, all right, let's talk about real quickly some of our fall on-site ministry plans. We've been sharing some of our plans with everybody the last few weeks. Tim, what are we looking at here as we're moving into the weeks ahead and getting back to on-site ministry?
Yeah, so Jeremy, we have been talking since the beginning of COVID, and the shelter-in-place order was in effect earlier this spring, about what our plans were to move forward. If you remember, and it seems like so long ago, that our plan was to do Village at Home, and we will continue to do Village at Home, which is our digital online service that each of our campuses are a part of, and we're so very thankful for all of the different campuses that have been a part of that, and the superstars that we've had from all our campuses, whether in worship leading or in the different elements of hosting our services. It's been a great time, and we've heard from so many of you the impact that it's had. Well, that will continue on. And of course, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be having our Sunday evening praise in the parking lot going on. And then starting the second week of August, we'll be kicking off at each of our campuses a Sunday morning outdoor worship service, except for El Camino. So all our English-speaking campuses will be doing a 10:30 service in the parking lot. And we're looking forward to that taking place. And so that will be going on for the month of August after our Praise in the Parking Lot. And then September 13th, we'll be planning on kicking off our indoor services. And we're still working on the details of that at each of our campuses. Right now, one thing we'd really encourage you to do is to be a part of our online survey. If you have Gmail like I do, maybe that survey link went to a promotions folder. Do find that and please fill that out. We've had a couple hundred of our households already fill that out, and what we're learning about kind of plans for you and your family for the fall have been really instrumental, will continue to be instrumental for us to serve you across all our campuses. Just to highlight where we're at right now, as you can see, about 200 families have been a part of it. And we asked the question, do you plan to be a part of on-site services when we move them indoors starting September 13th? And you can see about 55% of your response has been, yeah, we're planning on being back. We're really excited about that. We've got about 20% that are not there yet, and then 25% that are still a bit unsure. And so we're getting information, and what we're going to do from this survey is figure out at each of our campuses how best to serve the greatest number of people moving forward. And so we're excited about it. There's questions about small groups, about kids ministries, about all manner of elements to our fall kickoff, and we're really looking forward to it. And so please take some time. It'll take you 5 to 10 minutes tops to fill out the information on the survey, and that way we will know what we need to be planning so we can serve you best in the days to come.
Yeah, you were just saying earlier, Tim, how we, after last night's services, we got about 60 more families to fill out that survey, and how helpful that really is just for the leadership of the church to kind of get a feel for where people are at. It helps make decisions and make plans. So yeah, make sure you take some time, go find that survey, check your email. Keith threw up a link to go to villagebible.church/survey. That's a great place, great thing to do to help us out. And we'd love to get your feedback for that as well. So we want to share one important update real quick that we were reminded of, that the donations for the Missions Garage Sale, if you're dropping them off right now, don't take those to the gym entrance quite yet. Right now, we want you to bring those to the main foyer, and that's where we'll be accepting those clothing donations that Keith was saying we're starting to collect at this time. So
you can bring them, but the foyer is the place to drop them. In the past, we've dropped them at the gym entrance, and gym entrance has some construction happening, so drop them in the foyer. That's where clothes are being collected right now. Jeremy, I saw Carl was asking, and I think he meant the third week. So the first Sunday of August was yesterday. Second Sunday is next week when we've got Praise in the Park, that's parking lot that starts at 5:30, and then the third Sunday of August, Carl was asking when we're back and switching to mornings, do we need to register? And yeah, Carl, we would love everybody to register. It just really helps us to plan. And when we're outside, you've been here, we've got plenty of space for everybody to social distance. But if the weather's looking rainy in August, we will shift inside. And so knowing how many people are planning to be here really helps us a lot with that. So we'll be asking you to bring your chairs either way, and to set up inside or outside. The Aurora campus has a combination of space for you to bring your own chair or to use their chairs. Sugar Grove is asking you to bring chairs for inside or outside. Steve, what are you doing down in Plano in August as you move to morning services outside? If you need to be inside, will you have some chairs set up, or are you having people bring chairs regardless?
We're having them bring chairs regardless, but
Okay.
if emergency happens, we'll have a chair for somebody. So, but bring your chairs, you can.
All right. Sounds good. Same for El Camino and Jeremy. You guys have chairs set up. So if somebody doesn't have a chair and they're looking for a campus, they go to Indian Creek, right, Jeremy?
we'll have a chair for you. That's for sure.
There you go.
He'd be a lot more enthusiastic about that, but his internet's lagging a little bit, so it took him a while.
I know.
It is. I can't tell when someone's finishing. I just jump in when I can here. So.
Okay.
Well, let's talk quick some of our construction updates. People have been at our campuses, seeing some things and getting excited about stuff taking place. So Tim, you guys were inside and know there's lots going on at Sugar Grove right now. Why don't you give us a quick update on where things are at your campus?
Yeah, so Sugar Grove, we're smack dab in the middle of major construction at our campus. For those that haven't been around, our sanctuary is completely gutted, and we are in the process of leveling our floor for multi-use availability in the days to come. Right now, we're waiting on concrete to be delivered to do the final leveling of the floor, and excited about that this week. And then we'll begin the process of starting to do some of the build out. So things like electrical and plumbing have been taken care of. And now we're in the process of getting things kind of all locked in from a flooring standpoint, which allows then all the other things to be done. We also are working on some new storage in our gymnasium building, and also some renovations to the second floor of our lobby. All of this was in phase 1 of the project with the All In for Tomorrow, and really excited about seeing the progress, and really looking forward to being able to use it in the days to come. And so when we do go to live in-person services like we were last night, we'll be in the gymnasium, which is a great space. The acoustics were really good last night, and so it'll be a great place to do temporary worship for our services for the time being. But we're looking forward sometime probably mid to late fall to be back into a fully renovated sanctuary, one that will serve us for many, many years to come. And so that's what's going on at the Sugar Grove campus. There's not really one building that's not being touched right now by construction.
Steve, what updates do you guys have in your projects out in Plano?
Not a lot of updates in terms of things that are happening moving forward. We're still in talks with our city and talking about the details of what it's going to look like to build out our parking lot and kind of change the front entrance. And so we're having talks with them still, and we're kind of assessing things at this point. So we haven't done anything. If we can and we want to move forward, we will here very shortly, but we're just wanting our people just to continue to support and to give as they've said that they would at the beginning of the year through the All In campaign, and hopefully we can get further along with the city and maybe get the price down a little bit more too, so we can begin work on that front parking lot. So.
Great. And David, I know last time you had shared you're working with some permitting and jumping through some hoops for that. Any updates on where those things are at right now?
Yeah, exactly. So where we currently are, so the paperwork package has been turned in for that review. We passed through that screening process, and the required additional paperwork has been kind of completed and submitted to them. So really we're on schedule for the next planning meeting that they have. The date of that meeting we're not sure of yet. It's not been set. But I'm just going to ask everybody to be praying that the next round of meetings will go well, that we can break ground on this project still this year. So we've been warned that the process can be very drawn out, but let's just pray that the Lord will move things along, and we'll be able to get going on this project before the year is out. So looking forward to that, and keep praying for that. So that's where we're at.
Right. Now, if anybody's looking from the church to help out with any of these construction projects, Keith, is there a way or a place for them to get engaged, or there are places they can be served?
Yeah, for sure. Tim's looking for people at the Sugar Grove campus actually this week to help with some things that anybody can do. I mean, if you don't mind doing some physical labor, we've got some storage room shelving to put together later this week, which we need some people for. I think we've got some drywall to hang. And the guys have asked if there'd be a volunteer or two really every afternoon to help just with cleanup, because that just removes one of the things that we would otherwise pay somebody to do. So if we can get some people to volunteer to help clean up a day or two in the afternoon a week, or help with those other things, so text the number on the screen and let us know you're willing to help. And Tim will have somebody follow up with you there. And other campuses, I think, Jeremy, you've got some windows that are going to be hung pretty soon. So if people like to do that type of thing out at Indian Creek, and then the other campuses as we get closer, we'll keep people posted. So, but if you have an interest, a willingness to serve, let us know. We'll deploy you somewhere, and we certainly need it.
Great. And we definitely appreciate everybody's help and looking forward to all these things moving along. So we're still seeking the Lord in it, like we were talking with Plano and Aurora, that God would just open some doors, and excited to see things underway in Sugar Grove. Real pumped for what God has in store for this next season for us. So, well, Keith, what we like to do every week is just make sure we're keeping people in the loop as to where the church is at financially. Can you give us an update, just kind of a big picture view on where Village Bible Church is at right now?
Yeah, so we finished July last week, and while we've been getting closer and closer, and actually some months we've been hitting our budget. And remember, our budget is based off of where giving has actually been, plus commitments that were made last December for our all-in. So it's a realistic, reasonable budget. But for whatever reason, July we only hit about 75% of our budget. So there's a lot of factors in that, and we know that economies creates a lot of questions right now. We recognize that some people are questioning their jobs and a lot of different things going on. And for some people have been gone, and sometimes when we're absent, we forget about the things that are routine as well. So just continue to present the needs before you as a church. Thank you for all that are continuing to give as the Lord gives you the ability and opportunity to do that. And for those who are struggling financially right now, we understand. And I would continue to say in regards to that, if you know somebody in the church that is really struggling and maybe needs some extra help, let us know that as well. Because while we often talk about the needs of the church, we also want to talk about the needs of our people. And as there are needs, we want to come around people, if it's physically, if it's financially, if it's spiritually, and be helping each other. And sometimes it's hard to ask for help, and yet the reality is these things go in seasons, and you may need help this season, and you may have the opportunity to help somebody next season. So let your flock group elder know if you know of a need, or let one of the pastors, your campus pastor, one of the others on the team, let us know, and we want to be able to help. In addition, to continue to move forward with ministry and building projects and ministry that we support with missionaries around the world. They're all important, and just thanks for the ways that the church is faithful in giving.
There you go. Thank you guys for continuing to help, and we're looking forward to these days ahead as well. So, well, we've got a crew of school leadership guys waiting to join us right now. So,
Jeremy, before we do that, I'm going to take this topic off the table, this hot topic, vaccines. And I do want to explain, last week, it was my fault. If you were watching last week at 8:30, we started answering a question, maybe about 8:25 on vaccines, an important question. And then at 8:30, the line dropped. And I know some of you sent me texts joking and saying, well, that's how you get out of a tough question. You just cut the broadcast. Well, the broadcast did cut, but that's because I was setting it up, and I don't normally do that, and scheduled it to end at 8:30, and it did. It ended at 8:30. Tim was talking, I was talking, and then we started getting texts that we were out. So it's an important topic. I don't want to try to fit it into 1 or 2 minutes, so we'll come back to it. We're not skirting it, but we had planned to talk with some of our own village people who serve in school board positions or school administrator roles, and realizing that right now the topic of back to school is on everybody's mind. And so we wanted to give you a chance to hear from them some of the processes about how things came to be and to ask questions. So that's why we're skipping our hot topic, not to skirt it again, but because it's part of the plan here.
So we will get to it. We will get
Yes,
to
sir.
it
Yes, sir.
another time. So we want to just remind everyone right now that next week we're not going to have Leadership Live. We're going to start doing this every other week. So probably in 2 weeks, we'll work on getting back to that hot topic discussion during this conversation. So, well, we don't want to keep our school leadership guys waiting too long. We want to make sure we give them enough time to communicate. So, David, would you be willing to just kind of close this section in prayer, and then we'll let those guys join our call and take it from there.
Sure thing. Let's go to the Lord. Father, we thank you so much for your goodness to us. Lord, I thank you for this series in Psalms that we've been able to just hear these prayers, these songs to you, that we can lift up our voices, lift up our hearts in worship. And Lord, I just pray that as we continue through the rest of the summer, Lord, that you just give us wisdom as we seek to be lights in our community, with our neighbors, with our friends, with our family. Lord, I pray that we would be beacons of hope and truth in a time where we're able to stand on the truth of you, Lord. So I pray that our relationship with you would be just strengthened even in a hard time. And Lord, I just pray that you would carry us forward. Lord, I thank you for all these events, these highlights, great times together with the church family. Lord, I just pray that as we head forward into fall, Lord, that you would just guide us. Lord, as we've got some plans, but Lord, as we make those plans, we know that you direct our steps, our paths. So we love you, Lord, and we pray all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And we're going to do a little bit of a transition here as some of our campus pastors drop off.
So I pray that our relationship with you would be just strengthened, even in the heart. We would be beacons of hope and truth in a time where we're able to stand on the truth of you, Lord. So I pray that our relationship with you
Keith, you're muted, buddy.
Look at that. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Hey, this screen has changed. It's a little bit different here, huh? So campus pastors have been transformed into different people. So let me take a minute and just ask you guys, I'm going to put on the screen for a moment those who are here with us, and just maybe go around the screen and introduce yourself and kind of what role you play at the school that you're part of. Ruben, why don't we start with you? You're first on my screen.
Wonderful. Can you hear me, Keith?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I serve on the board of Covenant Christian School and have been there for now close to 6 years, and primarily responsible for development and fundraising for the school.
All right. Thanks. John.
Hi, everyone. John Pilkington, I'm the principal of Hubble Middle School in Wheaton-Warrenville, District 200. That's a middle school of about a little less than 800 students, and they got about 100 staff members. And I've been an admin in the district now for 11 years already.
Wow. Cool. Thanks, John. Thanks for being with us. Phil. Phil's checking in from Florida today and hanging out with us. So tell us your role, Phil.
Hey, yeah, good to be here. I'm serving on the Newark High School board. I serve as the president of this last couple of years, been there for about 6 years on the board. And we have about 170 kids in the 4 classes total. And so excited about being part of that group.
Great. Scott, you're next, man.
Yeah, Scott Etchison, Aurora Christian School. I'm a district administration coordinator, which means I really just support the administrative team and do things that are all district as far as help with coordination and planning.
All right. There we go. Thanks, Scott. Kevin?
Hey, Keith. Hope you guys are all doing well. Appreciate you having me on here for a few minutes. I serve on the board for about the last 5 years at Parkview Christian Academy. It's in Yorkville, and we are maybe a little over 300 kids, pre-K to 12, spread out over 2 campuses. So that's a little about who we are.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. And Tim, like Phil, most people know you as Pastor Tim, but other people know you as school board vice president. So where's that at, Tim?
Yeah, for the last almost 10 years, I've served as the vice president of the Hinckley Big Rock Board of Education, a school of about 800 students, K through 12, and really enjoy serving our community in this way. And I think I'm the last one that's going to be introduced here, right? We've got everybody else, correct?
Yep.
I would just say how awesome it is to see so many of our people, and this is only a fraction of the people, administrators, teachers, board members that are a part of our schools. And as you're seeing, we represent all different schools, public schools, private schools, homeschool. We've got lots of people that are serving in our schools. And I will tell you, if there's a way that you want to reach your community and minister in big ways, get involved in the schools. Like I said, whether it's homeschool, private, public, this is where we have a great opportunity to impact in great ways our communities and the families that make up those communities.
Well, when we were talking last week about Leadership Live, and we were talking about, what are the things going on in our lives that that we could help our people think through and maybe understand in a better way. And one of the things that came up first was schools, because everybody's going back to school, and I know every person with a child is been talking about the school options, and maybe even been complaining and wondering why they decide to do this. I don't like this, and so I thought, well, you know what? These are hard decisions. We know from a church standpoint, that's really hard to decide how do we move forward in a way that best serves the people of Village Bible Church. And all of you, as people leading schools, are trying to do the same thing. How do you move forward serving the people who make up your schools in the best way possible? And you've got different people, different areas, different strategies. And so I thought maybe just the first question, we've got about a half hour here to talk through. And people, if you're watching, you can send in your questions, and we'll see how these guys do it answering questions, but we've got a couple. And the first one was really just talking about why was this a hard decision? And then we'll hear what each of these schools have decided to do, and talk about what, as the men around this screen right now, what are the things that they wish parents maybe understood better from their perspective as they're leading. And but starting off, what made this a hard decision? John, why don't we start with you, and others can jump in. Was
Thanks,
it hard,
Keith.
or was it really easy?
A piece of cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a very hard decision, and for a lot of reasons. First of all, because there's just a lot of fear and angst in our society and culture right now. And to figure out what best to do was really challenging. And there's a lot of very strong opinions out there for reopening schools fully versus for not reopening schools and going fully learning. The other thing that made it really challenging to figure out was the parameters by which we operate kept changing. So we would make a plan, and then the state would issue further guidance, or the health boards would issue further guidance, and we would have to redo the plan. So it was very difficult to make long-term plans when the foundation, when our parameters for operating were constantly in flux.
Okay. So everything's changing. You make a decision one day, it seems like a great decision, and the next day, maybe even the same day, just later in the day, you realize there's things that don't work about it. Either the rules change or you see holes. Is that true for Aurora Christian, Scott?
Yeah, it is. When you consider the CDC and the Illinois Department of Public Health, and then the officials that are making the rules and interpreting all those, and then the council that comes alongside of that, trying to help you understand whether it's this way or that way, just makes it all confusing. And parents either want, like John said, they either want their kids in school or they don't want their kids in school. So you've got all these different opinions that come into play. And the whole goal of education is really to make an impact in the lives of kids. And that's what we're all seeking to do. It's how we do it correctly that takes wisdom.
Yeah. Well, Chapman and Badal, they're leading schools in small rural areas, so it's pretty easy to make decisions in Newark, right, Phil?
Yeah, I would not say that it's pretty easy to make decisions anywhere right now. And my brother Tim enjoyed that a lot. I think, in every decision that you make as a school board member, you're looking at, so for a school board member, we're looking obviously from the 30,000 foot view and we let people like John and Scott dig into all those details. We just ask those questions, and they're the ones who are really doing all the work. They're the ones who are accomplishing the things that we need to do for the students and for the community. We just get to be part of that process of thinking it through. But we're looking at student and staff safety. We're looking at social, emotional health, academic achievement in this order. Really, we're looking at that safety first. We're looking at how it's affecting them socially. We're looking at then if we could deal with those things, then we could deal with some academic opportunities. And then hopefully in the midst of all that, we get some community support and maybe allow for some flexibility in that whole process.
So I think it's a little different when I look at Ruben, or give Kevin a chance here in a moment too. But Ruben, from a public school standpoint, there's lots of decisions, but funding probably isn't one of the questions they're having to answer in the same way that a Christian school is having to answer, because you lose your enrollment, you lose your funding. And so that's probably been part of the question. Maybe you've got people coming because they don't like what their public school's doing, or maybe you've got people leaving because they're not sure what's happening. So has that been extra challenging from a private school, Ruben?
Yes, actually, we are seeing both, Keith. On one side, we are seeing parents asking the question, why should we pay more if this is going to be online, right? Of course, school administration has to worry about the safety of the kids. That's number one for all of us, and then the staff. On the flip side, what we are also saying, I think this is true at ACS, from what I've heard, it's also true at Calvary, and it's now slowly becoming true at Covenant, is we are seeing some public school kids are actually knocking at our doors now. Because while the school districts, Naperville, both the school districts in Naperville and Aurora, have decided to start off with online first, at least till the end of October, we are finding some parents who actually want their kids to directly go into the classroom. And so I've heard from ACS and from Calvary, and now seeing that at Covenant too. They are knocking at our doors. The challenge, of course, at Covenant, what we are thinking very strongly is all the safety factors. We have a good staff. We have high quality education. Along with this, one quick thing I'll add, and see if any of the other schools have this. We are also trying to increase our online tutoring. We are doing some modular courses that can actually go beyond the boundaries of the school. So anybody can actually log in, look at these modular courses, pay for it, of course, because the teachers are really good in those courses. So the funding models have to change beyond the current existing way of doing things.
Okay, it's different. And so, I think, Kevin, you've, and I'm going to have you answer the question and then transition to the next one too, because you've got your two questions kind of go together, because you guys have looked at it and asked, what's important for our people, and you've wrestled through the questions. And I think the interesting thing we'll find here is that all these schools are doing something a little bit different. And Kevin, that's definitely true for Parkview. So you guys have made some decisions that are kind of unique.
Yeah, for sure, Keith. And, I can echo what, each of these guys has said, is the difficulty of balancing the fact that you want to have high quality education, you want to have an impact on the students' lives. At the same time, you do want to protect those students and your faculty and staff. And it's been a crazy last 8 weeks. I know all these guys can share that, but it seems like, one thing happens one day, new information comes out the next. So it has been challenging. And Ruben, especially, I echo, some of those things that you said too on the funding model. And at the end of the day, a private school or a Christian school, we're not underwritten by a church, or by a foundation. It's our parents are the ones who choose to make those sacrifices and send their kids to Parkview. And again, they are looking at this from a value standpoint as well. And we needed to continue to to provide that high quality Christian education, enter in COVID, and the whole game kind of changes. And so, yes, it has been a big time challenge. We also feel like we have super high quality staff and administration, and they have helped during this process, spent tens and probably hundreds of hours on our opening committee, putting together plans to keep the kids safe, to keep the staff safe, and yet at the same time, we really did end up in a little different position than some. Although what I'll say is that most schools that we've talked to, which has been quite a few, no one's doing it exactly the same. And so that's definitely a constant theme. We're a small school. We've got 2 campuses. People are really spread out. We have a lot of square footage. And so we ultimately came to that decision based on, the administration, the staff, parent surveys, really desire of the parents and students to be back in the classroom full time, 5 days a week. And again, that's also a decision that the parents have to make and have to say, is that what I want for my kid? Is that the best for my kid? And we've been upfront about that, I think, since day one, and our parents have overwhelmingly supported that in their desire to send kids to Parkview. And we just, there's somewhat of a pushback against a bureaucrat, hundreds of miles away, or making rules and regulations for a school that might be 5,000 kids instead of 100 or 150 kids at a campus. We really feel strongly about that fact that those decisions should be made by the local school. And we feel that same way for the public schools, for any private school, that those decisions ultimately need to be made by those who are in support of that school, and those who work there, those are the parents. And that's why we made that decision. So tough decision for sure, but one that, again, we feel overwhelming support from our staff and from our parents, and people are pumped to be back in the classroom here in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, tough decisions. And then just as for a church and almost every organization, wherever you land, you have people that will be detractors and won't be happy, right? You'll always try to meet everybody, but some people will be on with you and some will not. So so Kevin, you ended with right now the plan is to be on site, and masks are optional for the kids and the teachers. And you've had some people that love that. They've taken some flack for it as well. And that's probably true for you too, Scott, right? You've probably taken some flack and have some people that love what you're doing. What are you guys doing? What's it look like?
Our school is looking at the 5 day a week, but masks will be worn when the kids cannot be socially distanced. So our classrooms are big classrooms. So what we've done is we've gone through and measured classrooms, making sure that we can have students 6 feet apart within their room. And whenever that happens, the kids can be mask free because they are socially distanced. But when they're on the move, they'll have to be wearing their masks when they're coming and going at the beginning and end of the day. But we're even scheduling, when you consider middle school and high school, because like these other schools, we have everything all in one building. So we will schedule our transitions around keeping the right number of students in the hallways, so classes will transition well. But yeah, it's synchronous learning as well. That's one of the important things to know. With Aurora Christian, we are using the online model, but it will be synchronous learning. In other words, let's say Tim is sick, he's got to stay home, or he's not feeling well, or he's been exposed, or he just has a cold and he has a fever and can't be at school. He'll be able to log into the classroom and be live in the classroom from home. Of course, that's not what we want everyone to do, but that option is there as well for both remote learning or synchronous learning for the students.
Hey, Scott, I was told I had an honorary degree from Aurora Christian. I didn't have to go back to school.
Well,
you've got 1 year left, and 1 year of eligibility too.
Listen,
you're
if
playing
any of
basketball
those
this year.
Christian schools would like to give me an honorary degree, I'm happy to receive one, and it would be an honor. It would be an absolute honor.
Oh boy. So new words we're learning. What'd you say, Scott?
Synchronous learning. So what that means is just
learning.
real-time learning.
Yeah.
So the teacher is teaching, the class is engaged, and the student is at home while everything is going on at class.
And I would say, Scott, I think that's going to be the biggest difference. And maybe we're getting to this, Keith, but when I'm talking to people who are questioning what's happening at Newark and stuff like that, and they are friends with me, and they call the school board president, finding out what's going on. Last year there really weren't rules about grades. Basically, they couldn't go get worse grades, if you will. You had to give every possible opportunity in the world for them to get their work turned in. This year is completely different, and that's what I think is the biggest thing that people aren't understanding, is that synchronous learning is going to be happening everywhere, because it's just regular grades, it's regular class. It's just sometimes that class is sitting at home during the 8 to 8:50 session instead of sitting in the classroom. And I think that if I had to sum up all of the questions that I've been asked over the last month or whatever it's been, that's the biggest thing that people aren't understanding, that it's not our kids just logging on for attendance and getting their work done on their timing, which that wasn't the case for every school. I mean, some schools were really pushing face-to-face learning still at home. The synchronous learning was going on in a sense, but now we're going to have that all over the place, because they do have to get grades.
Well said, Phil.
Tim could have really benefited from a season of COVID when he was in high school, and grades can't go down, so.
Yeah, but that would have been good, Keith, because my grades were never up. So it's a double whammy. Usually I use the last part of the semester to get the grades up.
Okay. Hey, John, you serve in Wheaton, in an area that's fairly affluent. So certainly District 200 had this stuff all figured out way before COVID hit, right? So you guys have been ready
of course.
to go. So
Right.
No, what's it been like for you guys?
So Ruben said that, and he said it correctly, that a lot of other large suburban districts have just said, you know what, we're going to start with e-learning while we figure this out. We need more time to put all this together. But D200 is Wheaton Warrenville, so we're about 14,000 students. We are still planning on opening. It'll look different. We're operating under the parameters of students will stay 6 feet apart at all times during the day. They will wear masks at all times during the day. And no more than 50 can be in one room at one time. So if you can imagine protocols and everything that has to change to implement that, that's been our challenge. Elementary school students will come every single day. We can meet those parameters. We've had to hire some extra staff. There's some early release time built into that. And then in secondary, 6 through 12, the best we can do is an A-B schedule, meaning that students will come 2 days a week, Monday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Friday. Wednesdays will be as Scott said, a synchronous opportunity and time to deep clean the building. And what's been important in this, and this has been our saving grace, is we've also offered any parent that wished to sign up for a virtual academy, meaning that they can stay home, and staff as well that have medical issues or just can't return because of the virus. They'll have the opportunity to teach in that virtual environment. And we've had approximately 18% of our students, less than 20 district-wide, opt, and the families opt for that. But it's interesting, the majority of our families, 80% or more, have opted to return with their students, obviously with some angst and apprehension. But we feel like we have a good plan in place. As was mentioned before by many, it was a lot of work over this summer to get all this set up. And if you can think of all the protocols, staffing, all the issues, details that had to be ironed out, and still in the work, still doing so.
Still doing it, still working through it, right? So what would you guys wish? Phil gave one. He wished that parents understood the synchronous learning and the whole grading and the expectations. Other things that you guys wish parents understood maybe a little bit more clearly, or things that you hear from parents that are kind of common questions that seem to be confusing points.
Yeah, Keith, let me chime in
Yeah.
here for a moment because, as a school board member, and as a pastor, those two rails are very similar rails. And here's why. As you've heard from all of our participants, everybody's doing something different. Everybody is trying to figure out in their own way. And I thought Kevin did a nice job of saying, a one size fits all doesn't work, right? We need to think through how kids are going to be educated in each of these communities. But here's the problem in our very connected day, and it happened within the church. Every church made a decision and every school's making a decision on what's going to work best for them. The problem is you're connected to lots of churches and lots of schools through social media. And what you'll begin to do is compare and contrast. Well, I like what they're doing over there. I want to do that. And we experienced that. Keith, you know that all too well. We experienced that. We had some area churches open up right away and we got bombarded with phone calls. Well, why aren't you doing what they're doing? That's the right way to go. And we didn't wish them any ill will or anything. They were doing what was best for them at that moment. And I think the most important thing for the people of Village Bible Church, for those that are watching this broadcast, is to recognize that there's a lot of thought and a lot of preparation going into trying to figure out how each of these communities are going to serve their communities to the best of their ability. Will it look like the neighboring school or the neighboring community? Probably not. But what these groups are trying to do is figure out what is best moving forward. And that's where we need, and as a pastor, I would encourage all of our members, patience. That doesn't mean you don't ask questions. It doesn't mean you don't give feedback, but patience and a willingness to listen and understand. These are, as has been said again and again, unprecedented times. And these groups, which are well represented, I think, especially this panel of people, are trying to figure out how best to do it in the days moving forward. So that would be my encouragement to all of you. Be patient and ask good questions. And as the book of James says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And I think that will go a long way as each of these guys answer those questions moving forward.
Yeah, Tim, like what you said there is that these people have put in so much time and effort and thoughtfulness for their community. For the Newark, little tiny 170 student, we have had an academic planning committee, an operations planning committee, human relations planning committee, a student and family support planning committee, health and wellness planning committee, and a communication planning committee. That's just for our 14-page document that we sent out about how we're welcoming students back. I mean, that had nothing to do with anything else. We're so focused on how to re-engage these students, whether at home or at school, that we're not even focused on some of the social emotional things that I said is a very important part of dealing with the kids, let alone the academic part. The academic part is a huge part, obviously. That's what we send the kids to school for, but there's other aspects to it. And so we're spending so much time focused on those, and no one's taking this lightly. Not one person that have I heard on here, their group is taking it lightly. And I know that, obviously. And that's, and I would assume the parents know that as well, that no one's taking it lightly. Everyone thinks it's a huge deal, and everyone's got great ideas. We just can't implement all the ideas. We each have to implement our own idea and what's best for our group. So that was a good point, Tim.
It's good. We've got a lot of people watching, more than even normal, and listening to what you guys have to say and curious. What would you say as a way that you would encourage parents to not just see this as a season they have to survive through, but as Tim's been encouraging, I think other campus pastors have too, how do we actually thrive during this season of uncertainty and chaos and confusion? What would you encourage the parents watching it in a way that they can thrive during this season? Any ideas? Scott, you got anything?
I think with every school, you've got a mission. You're trying to do something. You're trying to accomplish the mission that you've been called to do. both in Christian schools and in public schools. And with us, our mission is threefold: relationship, education, and service. We want to build relationships with our students, and knowing that teachers are investing everything that they have into the lives of these kids is first and foremost. But we also have the privilege of pointing kids to Jesus Christ and helping them to see that Jesus Christ is first, and wanting them to understand what that relationship means, that personal relationship. Being very relational, that's what teachers do. That's who we are as teachers. And then educating. All of us are educating kids, and parents are educating. Everybody who comes into contact with students and kids, Luke 6:40 says, when a disciple is fully trained, he's going to be like his teachers. And so knowing that these teachers are walking around with masks, but still teaching kids and investing in them and pouring into them, helping them not to fall behind, helping them to stay on top of what they need for tomorrow and the next day and college and life is so important. So that educational piece. And then, as at Aurora Christian, we want to continue to thrive towards service and helping our students to understand that serving Christ and serving their community and serving in what they do is very important in their lives. So partnering in the mission of your school is so important. That's what I see to help parents thrive in this environment.
That's a good word. So partnering, finding ways to partner, whatever your school model is, how do you support them and partner with the teachers, with the administrators, and to make it the best experience possible for your kids, even though you may not like it or prefer it? How do you partner and make the best out of it? Ruben, what would you say? How would you encourage parents to be able to thrive during this time?
Yeah, Keith, I completely agree with what Scott just said. My heart actually goes out to all the parents out there, because this has been a dramatic shift for you as well, as you saw the last few months with your kids at home, going through the online education model. What I would say is we need you, parents. At Covenant, like Scott said, at ACS, we are in the business of character formation. And that's what we want our kids to be developed in Christ's likeness. And we really cannot do this alone. We need the Christian parents in your home, teaching the word on a daily basis to your kids, and reshaping their lives at home fundamentally. The school really comes along, and along with academic education, provides that character formation. So we need you. We are partners in this together. Even as you see all of us parents here on this call, we are not competing with each other. We are here in a complementary fashion. If there's any parent out there who says my kid is weak in this area, in this subject, please reach out to Keith as the point of contact. We can see what we can do amongst all of us and the teachers that we have. Can we tutor your kid? Can we do some personal coaching? All of those kinds of things. We are here to help you.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to run out of time here in a few minutes, but John, Phil, Tim, Kevin, any Thrive suggestions from you four?
Sure, I'll jump in.
I'll speak. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, just real quick, and I'll let you guys jump in too. I echo what these guys have said. The parents is really the key to the education, and we need them to partner with the school. And along with that, I think the other theme in my mind of what we see here tonight and represented is school choice as well. So just like we have the option to go to a private school, a Christian school, a public school, in each one of those, there's great people. We find the same thing throughout this whole COVID thing and the opening plan and what each school is doing. And, that's the thing, is that most people aren't forced to go to any specific school. So if they don't like what Parkview is doing, man, there's other options, and vice versa. And we've seen tons of inquiries in the last few weeks at Parkview of people saying, we're not really sure about this opening plan, but what are you guys doing? And does that match up with what our family prefers? To really have that parent choice on the mask issue and things like that. And so I really appreciate that, and just hearing what these guys have had to say tonight as well.
Okay. Hey, John, Tim, Phil, before you go, I just want to say I'm a little disappointed. Now, every week, Kevin's dad gives us some tough questions by text to answer. And when Kevin's on, there's no tough questions that come from your dad.
I kept looking for
Yeah, I
them. I
know. I'm
kept
not sure
looking
what's
for the
going on.
questions.
Hey, Jeff did ask a question. He wanted to know how they were going to keep social distance second graders, and he did that with a laugh. So he did ask a
Oh,
question,
okay.
but I
That's
think he
because
knew we
my
weren't going to
son-
be able to answer it. So
My
hey,
son
lay
is a
off of
second
Jeff,
grader.
okay?
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah.
Right. All right. John, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I'll speak from a father's perspective, from one parent to all the other parents that are listening out there, is this. We all know that this is not what any of us wanted. I didn't want this as a principal. My teachers don't want this. I think of my daughter Angie graduated last year. She missed all of the end of the year events. It was so anticlimactic for the poor kid, as it was for all of our seniors. This is not what any of us wanted, yet we have, as Christians, a great opportunity to model for our children that God is in control, even in the midst of all this uncertainty. I can't imagine a poor kindergarten. If any parents listening that have kindergarten or starting school, as if school wasn't scary enough, you're going to be starting with the teachers wearing a mask, and there's going to be all these restrictions, and yet this is where we find ourselves, whether we're starting high school or middle school or kindergarten, and in high school sports have been canceled, and so school will look different no matter where we're going. Yet we have the opportunity, instead of contributing to the anger that's on all over social media and casting stones, we have the opportunity to say our God's in control, even in all of this, to show that to our children, to show them peace that transcends all understanding, that by trusting in God, we will make level paths for our feet as we start this school year. So go easy on your teachers, your principals too. Everyone is trying to figure all of this out, and if you remember to pray for us that are the front lines of education in these times, we would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, my mom always reminds me that when she dropped me off the first day of school, I cried and cried and wouldn't let go of her. And so I would have really had trouble if the teacher had mask on. That's true, John. I never thought about that. So praying for you guys. So John, all of you, let's close with what's one way we could be praying for you specifically as a leader at your school. Obviously, wisdom, but is there another way we could be praying for you or for your school during this time? So you mentioned it, John, so I'll let you start. How can we be praying for you?
Wisdom comes to the front, but even just peace, not just for myself, but for my staff. But just pray that God's peace over the entire school building, that there's just it's missing right now. There's just so much angst and fear and some anger too. Just pray for peace over our schools, leaders, and the decisions we're making.
Okay. Ruben, you have a prayer request?
Yes, pray for our teachers, especially they need a lot of stamina over the last few weeks and months as they've gone through this recording and all things. It's been very hard on them.
Okay.
And so please pray for them.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of changes, right? So, and lots to figure out in a short amount of time. Scott, I appreciate your bumper sticker there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, pray for your school administrators. They are, now think about this. They've spent, like Phil said, months, weeks, days, hours working on these plans, but they're not getting the stuff done that they need to do to start the school year.
Yeah.
So these administrators are trying to juggle all this startup plan and return to campus or whatever the procedures are. And they still have to run a school, and they have to hire teachers, and they have to do all the things that need to be done. Plus unity for parents, that parents and schools partner together well to accomplish the goal.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Unity for parents, praying for stamina for the administrators. And okay, Kevin?
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Scott just said as well. The parents, and I think their relationship with their kids. I saw it in the fourth quarter of even just with our own kids, of a great Christian household, and yet how challenging it was during that environment to maintain peace and unity even within our own family unit sometimes. So I would just pray for those parents that are going to be the ones leading the charge on that, and that their relationship with their own kids can find a way to strengthen during this time. If they're a believer, that they come closer to the Lord, and that gives them a better opportunity to spend time with them. And if they're not a believer, that it provides an opportunity to speak Christ into that situation and with their own kid, and that ultimately they would come to know Christ.
That's good. Phil?
Yeah, well, couple things I want to say real quick is we do also have a lot of parents that homeschool, and so they've made that decision maybe this year, or they've made that decision in prior years, and that could be a new realm for a lot of parents, and so we need to be praying for wisdom in that process as well, or they move from public school to a private school. So there's just a lot of wisdom that we need to be asking God to provide all of these parents that are making these decisions. You know, at Little Newark, we've been dealing with this process, but we're also our superintendent is retiring December 22nd, and so we're in the process of identifying a new superintendent. Currently, our superintendent and our principal, we have two administrators. They're both professing Christians, and which is pretty awesome for a public school. And we've been very thankful. But we need to be praying for Amy Smith. She's our superintendent, and she's got to be laser focused, even though this is her last semester in her educational career, to make sure that her focus is on how to best take care of these kids. And even though they're 17 and 18-year-olds at the very end of our group, they need to be cared for very well through this process. And some of them, I had two seniors last year who graduated with just like John did with Angie, and but now we're looking at this year's seniors and how they're starting, and we don't know how they're going to finish. And so that's a we have the kindergartners and the seniors and all of that. It's just weird. So lots of wisdom, lots of patience, lots of love needs to be spread.
That's good. Tim, closing prayer, suggestions, requests from a HBR, from a leadership standpoint for you and leadership team there.
Yeah, so I would turn it and say all the guys are absolutely right. Pray for the leadership and the teachers and all that. Well, we haven't really focused on, let's pray for the kids. And I think one of the things you can do in situations like this is you can look at the problem right in front of you and throw a lot of time and attention and energy towards that. The thing that we don't know, and we've touched on it a little bit, what is the social, emotional, and spiritual elements that aren't being seen? I just recently read an article, abuses in the family are way up because most abuse is reported in schools by teachers, by loving administrators. Those are going unreported. Even basic needs of food and other things where schools are providing that in ways is going untouched. And so we need to be praying, and we need to pray that as parents, we are finding ways to minister to all of the child, not just parts of it. And so my advice to parents would be this: don't beat yourself up. Take it day at a time and pray that God will give you the strength, the energy, and the needed wisdom to be what your kids need you to be in that moment. Grades come and go, and I don't want to diminish that, but we want to deal and address all of the child's needs. And I'm going to pray to that end that our kids across all the different school choices that are being made would be ministered to and cared for in these very, very difficult days. So be patient, be kind to one another. And maybe you don't have a kid. Maybe find out, how can I help the kids around? One area I know at Sherwood Grove campus, and it was brought up, I think, by Ruben. We do some math tutoring and things like that. That's where the church can really partner and help in some one-on-one settings. Not talking about big schools or big settings, but one-on-one. And so maybe you've got a gifting or an ability to partner. This is where the church could really unleash its members to help in ways that the kids could have some real engagement and involvement in the days to come.
It's a great point. Didn't think about that. Our tutoring program you have going at the Sherwood Grove campus could be even bigger this year because the kids are home and not having that teaching that they might normally get one-on-one from a tutoring from a teacher or whatnot. So yeah, good ideas. Well, for everyone tuning in, especially the Village Bible Church family tuning in, if you've got ideas of how we can be serving within the Village family or within our communities outside the walls of the church, let us know those things. And if it's a tutoring idea, if it's a helping in other ways idea, let us know. We want to be able to be a light for Christ and a light for hope and help in the communities around us. So let us know if you've got ideas, and we might recruit you to carry out that idea. So let me close in prayer unless anybody has anything else you want to add. We are out of time. Let me close and pray for all of us. Lord, I just thank you for the people on this call right now, Lord, the men who have served you, Lord, in a variety of roles. Lord, some of them volunteering their time, Lord, to serve on a school board. Some of them leading from an administrator role within schools. Lord, others within our church family who are serving as teachers, as aides, as tutors, Lord, as administrators. Lord, we've got a lot of people representing a lot of schools and a lot of different roles. And Lord, this is the time of year where we'd normally be praying for them and commissioning them. And Lord, we do that. And Lord, we do it in a unique way. Lord, recognizing that the needs and challenges are really unique right now. So Lord, we pray for them. Pray that you'd give them wisdom as was asked, that you'd bring peace to the schools. Lord, that you'd bring real partnerships with the parents. And Lord, wisdom for parents who are doing things new and differently. Lord, parents who are having to figure out how do they find ways to stay home from work, Lord, to be with their young children who are on an alternating day schedule, or how do they figure out how to homeschool, maybe some who are deciding to do that every day, or Lord, all kinds of different scenarios that's a lot different from last year in years past. Lord, give us wisdom, as Tim said, as parents, Lord, and as we strive to do this well. Lord, I do just ask that you'd give us great opportunities that maybe we would not have otherwise had. Lord, these changes in schedules, Lord, as I've heard many say, even over these last couple of months, how they've been a blessing because they've caused families to be together in greater ways with greater amounts of time. And Lord, maybe there'd be opportunities as schedules change that we'd be able to invest in our kids, Lord, in greater ways, discipling them, pointing them to you, Lord, reading scripture with them, praying with them. Lord, help us as parents to find ways to be intentional and to thrive, because you give us new opportunities during this unique time. So Lord, just ask your blessing on all of our school volunteers and workers, and on our kids and on our parents. Lord, that's a lot of us. So just ask that you'd use this time for great good from a spiritual growth and an academic growth standpoint too, Lord. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. I had somebody text in a question here. Will this be available later? They want their spouse to be able to watch it. It'll go out by email tomorrow, as all Leadership Lives do. So if you've got somebody you want to share it with, you can forward the email tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, guys. And with that, we'll call it a show.